Hey everyone, and welcome back to Digital Gaming Hub. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite game this year, Glyph. At the time of this review, Glyph is my third most played game on Nintendo Switch. And in this review, I'm going to tell you exactly why I loved this game so much. So Glyph is actually a game that took me by surprise. When I first saw the trailer, I knew I was going to like the game, but I would have never guessed that it would become my favorite game of this year. Growing up, platformers were always the genre of game that drew me to Nintendo. Like many of you, my first game was Super Mario World on the SNES, and then Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario Galaxy, and more recently, very difficult platformers like Celeste. And while the gameplay of Glyph is different than Celeste, due to Glyph being a 3D game, the feeling when you learn from your mistake and improve upon something and get past the level is the same. This is why Glyph is the game of the week this week and potentially my game of the year. Let's kick things off with the story. So as far as story goes in Glyph, it may seem at first, because of the lack of characters, that the story is bare. But when you look a little bit deeper, you do get glimpses of the story and the history behind the world that you're exploring. By talking to Nominee, the tiny beetle-shaped robot that is guiding you through your adventure, you learn about a thriving society that once lived here. Throughout your exploration of the Glyph world, Nominee reveals more and more about what happened before to the world around you. Glyph builds on this world by providing an experience unlike any other. It's one of the few games that has a soundtrack that is so relaxing, while at the same time the gameplay can be so stressful. The Glyph soundtrack can range from spa-style music that is so soothing to epic music that makes the most intense gameplay even more intense. And something else that was also such a nice touch in Glyph's audio and really added to the overall experience was the fact that the music starts to fade out when you're close to completing a level, and then as soon as you get the final key, the music comes back strong, making all your hard work in the level so much more satisfying and truly epic. Now, in terms of gameplay, Glyph perfectly balances frustratingly difficult levels with the satisfying feeling of getting better at the game. The gameplay in Glyph is what hooked me and what had me coming back over and over again to the point of having over 60 hours in the game. The feeling that I get from the gameplay makes me want to compare Glyph to Celeste, but in a 3D version. You will die a lot, but you will learn from those deaths and adjust your strategy and improve. Glyph starts out with a perfect tutorial to the gameplay that teaches you how to play the game while you get through a few easy levels. Like most games, it adds on to the game controls slowly, but with Glyph you don't only have to learn the controls, but you also have to learn the physics of the game. Learning how high you can jump or how momentum works in the game will add to the feeling of full control in the platforming. And in platformers, especially 3D platformers, something that is so important to enjoying the game and really getting into flow is the ability to feel fully in control. Glyph hands you the controls, shows you how the physics works, and then says, go and beat these levels we've handcrafted for you. Each level feels so different and unique, which is a strong thing to accomplish when the main parts, structure, and environment of each level are essentially the same thing, just switched around. Now, there are two types of levels. There are speed trials, in which you try and beat the level as quickly as possible to try and get either gold, silver, or bronze, depending on the time you get. Now, these levels can be a lot of fun, especially for speedrunners that are very creative in how they approach a level to try and get as quick of a time as possible. Oh! Right back at you. And then there are exploration levels. In these levels, you try and get 100% by collecting all of the collectibles and keys to beat the level. I've already 100% the game, but I still go back to do the speed trials to try and beat people's records. This is the first time in probably years that I've 100% a game. And I think that's because there's an incentive to beat the game fully, or to beat each level fully, because there are avatars that you can collect and you can change your character into that skin of that avatar. My favorite is probably the turtle or the pumpkin that turns into a ghost. Each level is a different skin. And this is something that definitely pushed me to be able to beat the game 100%. Now overall, I would say that this is definitely my favorite game this year. Now hopefully this is giving you an idea as to why Glyph is my favorite game this year and potentially my game of the year. Glyph is available on the Nintendo Switch. There's a free demo there if you'd like to try it before buying it. And it's also launching on Steam on Monday, August 9th. I recommend that everyone go and get this game, and then send me your speedrun records so that I can try and break them. As always, you can find me streaming Glyph and many other games live on Twitch, and you can follow me on all social media channels. Links to all of that will be in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.